All right, guys. Well, welcome to our Team Rockstar Fit Diamond Zoom. Today is December 6th. I'm Kelly Scott, and I'm really excited to be hosting this call with you guys. And I'm going to be sharing just some tips and just a little look in the inside of like how my business looks. So I've been a one-star diamond coach I'll go over that in my little intro, but for several years now. And I think from the outside, especially like my coaches, it's like, oh, I can never do what you do, or that just seems so intimidating. So I think it's good for all of us. And I know many of us probably run a diamond business as, a part-time gig. Not everyone does this business full time. So I think it's good to, whether this applies to you or not, getting tips that you can share with your team, or also just getting tips that you can put into your own business and your own practice, especially as you're trying to grow diamonds on your team. It's important to say, you can do this a few hours a week. You don't have to do it 25 hours a week to have a successful diamond business. So hopefully what I'm going to share with you guys a little bit about my story, and then some productivity tools and time-saving tips is what my goal is to share with you guys today. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. Okay. Can you guys see my PowerPoint? That's weird because I can't. Okay,
We can see it.
But I can't.
Oh.
Hold on. Let me see if I minimize my screen. That is so weird. Okay, give me a second. Okay, I'm going to try sharing a different screen. Let me just stop that again. Oh, Zoom. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, can you guys see that? It's so weird because, normally when you share a screen, I can see your faces off to the side. It's like two different windows. So as long as you can see it, let me just go ahead and make it bigger. Okay, so I cannot see you guys. So I'm just going to ask if to, mute yourself as I go through this. I can toggle between two screens, but it's so weird because I can't see you guys, which is always nice to see your faces. So at any time, please feel free to chime in and, just unmute yourself and jump in and ask any questions. Okay. Let's make this big. Okay, so let's go over running a diamond business as a part-time coach. So I'm going to offer you guys some tools for productivity and time management. So I want to tell you guys just a little bit about myself, like where I was then and where I am now as far as coaching. So back then, before I started coaching, I was an overworked full-time fitness professional. I was a personal trainer, group exercise instructor, and I actually wasn't the owner then, but I was one of the head coaches for Empower Fit Bootcamp. So I actually became a coach in April of 2011. So I remember saying yes to the opportunity. It was right before my wedding, and I was just not able to reach those goals that I wanted to be in my wedding dress. And so my sponsor coach, Heather Glenn, I actually worked for her for the boot camp company. She said, hey, I hear this awesome new opportunity called Beachbody. Do you want to sign up with me? We knew really nothing about it. And back then there was not a lot of training. We didn't have Team Rockstar. We didn't have Rock the Business. We didn't have any trainings in the back office. So we just jumped right in and just what I did really when I started my business is I focused on just drinking Shakeology. And I was one of those fit pros who just did not believe in in-home fitness workouts. I did a lot of group exercise, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to do Shakeology as that side of my business, and I'm not going to worry about the other fitness components of it. So I said no to attending Summit the first year because I said, I'm a little bit more than a discount coach. I'm going to just, only sell Shakeology to my clients for the first year. And I remember when Heather went to Summit the first year, she asked me to go with her, and I, said, no, I'm good. I just don't really have much time to do that. I'm just going to, work on my fitness business and just sharing Shakeology with my clients. So that's how I truly got started. So that was then, and this is now. And when I think back of how far I've come, it's pretty incredible how far my business has come in a handful of years. So I see the chat going off and I can't see it. This is so weird. Hold on. Okay, I'm just going to keep going. Just unmute yourself if you guys want to jump in because my Zoom is just acting up. If you can't see my slides, please let me know. Okay, so now thanks to Beachbody, I significantly decreased my on the floor hours. So meaning I'm not training like a mad woman like I used to. I'm not teaching 15 group exercises class a week because I decided to take a few steps more into my Beachbody business and really embrace all of the components of Beachbody. So it's definitely, I've added more value to my clients with the products. So not just Shakeology, but I embrace the fitness products because I started doing them myself, the fitness routines. And, now I can have the comfort and the peace of mind knowing that if they have Beachbody on demand, when they're not training with me, I can give them, amazing workouts to do when they're not with me. So that's really added value to my business because it's not just helping them with nutrition and shakes. It's the fitness component has definitely not taken away from my business. If anything, it's added to my business. So I'm obviously now a full believer in the fitness programs. So now I have attended a total of 5 summits and 2 Success Club trips. I've now been it took me about 3 years. So just to give you guys a little kind of background on how long it took me to become a diamond coach, it took me 3 years to become a diamond coach. And then right after that, a month to become 1-star diamond coach. And what was pivotal for me in that part of my business was we just came out with Rock the Basics, and that's what it was called back then. And I remember just jumping into the training programs. And as soon as I jumped into those training programs, my business just took off. And I am a Success Club All-Star Legend. I've been 47 months as an All-Star in Success Club, which is pretty hard to believe, but it's pretty awesome. Okay, so let me just give you guys an inside look of kind of like what my business looks like working at part-time. So I spend about 10 to 12 hours on average a week on my business. When I started, it was like literally like 1 to 3 hours. And which is why it took me a few years to hit diamond. And plus I didn't really know what that meant. I remember getting notifications in my emails saying like, you hit Success Club. And I was like, delete. I don't even know what that means, but okay, I guess that's something good. I didn't even take any time to learn about what that meant, which I'm kicking myself right now, but live and learn. So, sometimes I spend a little less hours depending upon my boot camp business and some of the other things I have going on. But on average, I like to spend at least 10 hours a week on my business. But with that being said, if you have more time, obviously, the more time you have, the more success you'll have in the business. But there's been some weeks that I have spent 6 to 8 hours on the business, and I just focus on some key components that I'll go through if I'm limited with my time. I run monthly 21-day challenge groups with other coaches. So I do team challenges. So typically my challenges, except for the one this month, I have one that's actually starting today. That's a 12-day challenge because of the holidays. But on average, my challenge groups are 3 weeks long. And I run them with my other coaches. And so I partner up with my other coaches. There's typically like 2 or 3 of us leading the challenges. I do have some other coaches on my team that run them on their own, or like Genevieve, who's my diamond. She runs her challenges, on her own or with her team. But I always open up my challenge groups to my discount coaches because my goal is they're not going to run their own challenge. So I know that with my discount coaches. So I always constantly invite them to my challenge groups, and then also invite them to invite others. So teaching them, they don't necessarily have to run the business or run challenge groups, but I'm obviously getting them to be involved, which is going to help me with my volume. So helping those coaches stay on top of their Shakeology and their workout programs, and then hopefully inviting others to the group. So those are how I run my challenge groups. I have 2, so I don't have time right now. My team is, it's a good size, but as far as the amount of coaches that I have that are actually involved, so I found that I used to run monthly team calls, And for me, it's actually easier to run calls. Right now I'm testing out kind of some different practices, but the last few months I've been doing like the first and the third week are my PS calls for Team Motivate. That's my PS team. And some of the ones there in my downline, like come some of my adopted coaches. And then I run a call once a month, and it's like the third Thursday once a month for the Fit Republic, which is my entire downline. So I'm only running 3 calls a month. So just another perspective, you don't have to be running weekly calls. And eventually I would like to run weekly calls and have a consistent time every single week. But until I get there and I have other leaders stepping up, this is the schedule that works for me, and I'm getting people involved in those calls. I also do speed coaching. I got this idea from Trina. So I do speed coaching, and mine are 30-minute sessions, and I offer 2 times a month for my coaches to jump on and do speed sessions. So what I do is I have my team calls the first and the third week, and then I offer speed coaching a few days during the other weeks in between my calls. So it's like the second and the fourth week I offer speed coaching. So because I'm not doing calls every single week, that's a way for me to connect with my coaches, especially ones that aren't able to make the calls. And then my recruiting goals, I recruit 2 coaches a month. So something that's feasible for me and I can keep up with, because I obviously want to get them started right. But if I have more coaches that say yes to the business, I'm not going to say no to them, but my goal is 2 coaches a month. And then working with active coaches. So that was something big for me. I had a really hard time in the beginning, just trying to pull the other coaches along that really didn't want to do much, and constantly kind of wasting my time checking in with them. So now I have this process where I'm constantly reaching out and working with my coaches who are working the business or want my help. And then the other coaches, I'll just check in with them. So I'm not, worrying about checking in with my entire team. But I do reach out to everyone and send them like monthly emails so that they're still engaged with me. And Success Club is a non-negotiable. So do you guys I'm just going to stop sharing really quick because, like I said, I can't see you. Do you guys have any questions so far about how I run my business?
I do. So what exactly is your speed coaching? What does that entail?
So my speed coaching is, there's a form that I have. I got the idea from Trina and I kind of tweaked it to make it my own, but I use a system called Acuity. So it's a scheduling system. So when people want to sign up for speed coaching, they click on the link and then there's a little form that they fill out. So it's just really it's customizable to them. So it's, ask, where they're struggling, what they need help with in the business. And, we just pretty much talk about what they want. So the goal of that is to get them to have like 30 minutes of like laser coaching with me. Sometimes it might just be like, I'm struggling with how to invite, or, how do I, run my challenge groups, or even just like recently, one of my coaches is kind of technically challenged. So I always tease her, we jump on and we do like a little, like, here's how literally like one call was like teaching her how to use Zoom because she couldn't figure that out. So, then we're going to meet today and we're going to go in the back office and we're going to go through the back office and teach her kind of like little steps through the back office. So it just really depends upon what each person is looking for in their speed session. Did that answer your question?
Yes, that's awesome. Thank you. It's more like a mentoring session. I love it. Exactly.
Yeah. And then if they don't know what to talk about, if like some of the coaches go on and they're like, I don't really know. I mean, I kind of know where they're struggling and where they're not. So, I might take the meeting and kind of shift it in a different direction and help them with things that they constantly ask me questions about. Cool. All right, guys, I'm going to share.
Hey, Kelly.
Yes.
Do you open that up to your whole downline or just your PS?
Good question, Kristen. So what I do is I typically right now, as my team's gotten a little bit bigger, I offer my laser coaching to everyone that's on my PS page. So the Fit Republic is my whole downline and Team Motivate is my PS page. And so my speed coaching, I offer that to my PS page, but I do have some coaches in there that are really active, that are in my downline that I've added to that page. So I have opened it up to some other handful of, coaches that Genevieve has this new coach. Her name's Kelly as well. And she's freaking killing it. And so I've told Genevieve, I'm going to reach out to her too, because I know Genevieve has limited time. So I've kind of taken her under my wing, even though Genevieve's still her coach. I just want to offer her more times that she can get involved, because she's really ready to hit the ground running. So I just kind of base it upon each person. My team calls, though, like last night or Monday night, I had a team call, and I posted information about it in the Team Fit Republic page, so my downline, so they could be involved in it as well. But my speed coaching right now is basically for my PS coaches, and then some that I've taken under my wing and adopted. Cool. Okay. Let's go back to my screen sharing here. Okay, so again, guys, I can't see you when I share my screen for whatever reason with Zoom. So, and the chat box doesn't open for me. So just go ahead and unmute yourself if you have any questions, but I'll kind of try to stop and see if there's any questions I can answer. Okay. Let me get back to where I was. Okay, so a typical day in my business. So these are, obviously there's some other things that I might focus on working on depending upon like if there's a challenge group coming up, or if I'm, actively working on recruiting maybe one day, but this is just an average day in my business. So the Diamond Daily is something that's really helped me stay on track. So that's my tracker that I use. So I'm making sure that I'm doing all of the things on the Diamond Daily that's going to keep me on course, especially on days where maybe I only have an hour, a little over an hour to run my business. That's what I'm focusing on, are the tasks that are on that Diamond Daily tracker. I'm focusing on starting new conversations. So 3 to 5 people a day is what I focus on that works for me. And I form them. So that's an acronym for family, occupation, recreation, message. I always think about those 4 things when I'm starting new conversations, and then having those conversations back and forth with 3 to 5 people a day. If you guys can mute yourself, that would be great. Again, I can't get back into that window to mute everyone. Okay. The other thing that I do is I have a whiteboard, and it's actually sitting right here to my right. And what I use is call it the hot list. I've kind of played with some different things. Like one coach on the National Wake Up Call talked about a 10 and play list. And I have a hard time keeping my list to 10 people because I'm having a lot of conversations. And so I just have a list of however big the list gets on my board. It's basically my hot leads or conversations that I have of either customers or coaches that I've invited or sent information to or need to follow up on. They're up here on my whiteboard, even though I have another list, that's in Google Street that we'll talk about. But I have it here so I can see. And then if they sign up, I just cross them off the list and I replace them with another name. So the whiteboard has been really helpful for me when I'm doing because like I said, I don't run my business full time. So I'm like, okay, who are the people I need to follow up with? Who are the people that I need to check in with? I'll just scroll down the list, and it's, oh yeah, I haven't heard from Devaney. She said she wants to do my challenge group, and it's been 2 days. So I'll go into Messenger and see where we're at with our conversations. And it helps me just quickly follow up and be on top of keeping track of everyone that I'm talking to. And then I'm also just really consistent with posting on Facebook and Instagram. So that's a typical day in my business. Do you guys have any questions on that? Cool, let's move along. Okay, so I want to share some productivity tools that have really helped me with time management and just being more productive with the hours that I spend on my Diamond business. So Toogl, TOOGL.com is a free time tracker, and I freaking love this website. So what I do is you go in, it's really easy to use, it's free, I have the free account. You can create projects, and then you get an email every week of the summary of all of your, like, how you spend your time. You can also log on, like this screenshot that I did, I logged on to pull this up, but you can see, so I even track like when I'm teaching boot camp or personal training, my on the floor hours, so you can see how many hours I spent on it. Whether I'm doing marketing, I'm running a free Butts and Guts Facebook group right now. So I've been tracking that, what I'm working on social media, administrative time, planning my day. And then like here at the bottom, you can see Beachbody. So that day I spent 1 hour and 23 minutes on it. So I like to try to look at this every week. So every time basically I started, I'm doing something, you can go back to, it doesn't have to be a live tracker, and they do have an app. So during boot camp, I don't start my tracker at 5:30. I come home, when I'm sitting down on my computer before I start the tracker for whatever I'm doing, I type in my boot camp time, and I have these color coded things off to the side are projects that you can schedule for it. So because I don't only just do Beachbody, but even if you were like a full-time Beachbody coach, this still would be helpful. So you can maybe have different projects where it's like recruiting, how much time you spend on recruiting, how much time you spend on working in your challenge groups. So you can go back during your week, and it really helps you with, am I using my time wisely? So this tool has been really helpful for me. If you guys don't know about it, I encourage you to check it out. It's actually kind of cool to see like where you're spending your time. And then sometimes too, where you're like wasting time, because I'll set my tracker and then I'll just get distracted and I'll be like, oh my gosh, a half hour has gone by and I haven't done anything. So it's obviously helped me to avoid distractions, and it's keeping me on task with tracking what I'm doing. And again, you guys jump in if you have any questions. Okay, some other productivity tools that I use. So Evernote I use for, these are the main things that I use Evernote for. I kind of go back and forth between using an actual notebook when I take notes for calls or using Evernote. I just kind of do whatever works for me at the time, depending upon where I'm at listening to the call. But mainly I use Evernote for challenges. So I have a notebook that's called challenges, and for every challenge, like right now I'm running what's called the 12-day holiday hustle that's starting today. And so in that Evernote for the 12-day holiday hustle, I have a list of everyone that I've been talking about the challenge to. So if they're on the whiteboard and they're interested in the challenge, I'll put them in this Evernote list because I can keep everyone that's interested in that challenge in one spot. So I have a list of all the people I'm inviting, and you can do like little check boxes in Evernote, which is what I love. So you can click on the box and it'll check them off. Like once they, sign up, you can have different columns for different check boxes. I also have in there links, like easy to grab links for my Facebook event, and then also for my Google form. So my Google form is what I use. It's like a WooFoo form for people to fill out to get information on the challenge group. So I have all of those links at the top, so they're really easy to copy and paste. And then I have a list of all of my invites. I also use it for marketing, so easy to find links. So I have one Evernote that I think it's called like marketing links. So when I've produced links from the link generator for a challenge pack, Shakeology, whatever, I just copy and paste it in Evernote, so I don't have to go to that link generator and generate it again. I can just go in there and copy and paste the link and send it to someone. And if I'm on the go, there's the app Evernote I use to just copy and paste the links and send those to people. So it's just really easy. If I need to do something from my phone, it's easy to grab those links. Another thing I've been starting is a list of videos. So whether they're videos I've created or they're videos from Beachbody, like about Shakeology, or that video of like what Shakeology can do for you, I have a list of all of those videos in a different note. And so I can send those off to people as well quickly. Social media, that is my links to all my social media. So like I do a lot of newsletters a few times a month. And so, like follow me, click here to follow me. I can just go in there and quickly grab my YouTube link, my Facebook link, my Instagram link, my LinkedIn link, all of my social media links, my website, they're all there. So I can just copy and paste them really easily. And then also my Zoom line. So if, my coaches are like, hey, I need your Zoom line or whatever, I just have that there. So I don't have to open up Zoom and copy and paste it. It's just, again, something that saves me time, and I have easy links that I use often, and I'm constantly adding to those lists. Like if I'm like, I should use this link, I'll copy and paste it in that list and just add to it. And I also been using it for my speed coaching notes. I find that it's easier for me for notes for my team to keep them organized in Evernote, because I can go back rather than flipping through a notebook. It's easier for me to have I have Nicole Lynch, and then I have all of our speed coaching notes. So every time we do another speed coaching session, I just, date it and I put the note at the top, and then I just have an ongoing thing so I can open it up to see what we spoke about last time. So does anyone have any questions on Evernote? Okay, cool. Let's move on to Google. So I use Google a lot. There's a few different ways I use Google. So Google Forms. So that's what works for me for the challenge signups. Instead of the WooFoo forms or type form, I use Google Forms. So it's the same thing though. You just pick whatever works for you. So for challenge signups, I use the Google form. I use that also for people for help me to track measurements. So they can go on and have the form and fill out all their measurements in there, because a lot of times they'll write them down and they'll lose it. And if I'm using the Tracker app, I do go between the Tracker app and Vimify, but if I am using the Tracker app, I know you can see their before and afters, but they have to send you that screenshot so you can see their before and afters. I like to have those because, it keeps it all in a spreadsheet. So then when I want to share results from the challenges, all of those are in there. So I ask everyone to just quickly fill out the form with the before and after. That's a Google form. And then I also have a coach application that I use in the Google Forms. Google Drive is huge for me in my business. And the Fit Republic is my whole downline. Heather, Genevieve, and I have created a folder called the Fit Republic Resources folder in Google Drive. And so what we've done is we've created this folder, and then within the folder, there's a bunch of useful things. Like we have something like a new coach checklist, how to do a GSR, like all of the tools and things that you might save in the link section of your Facebook page. We've created a Google Drive. So we have, just over the years, we have different folders for new coach success, Shakeology, personal development, and we've just dropped a bunch of stuff in these folders for our coaches to have access to. So all we have to do is send them the link for the Fit Republic Resources folder. Like when I do my GSR, I kind of walk them through it and I tell them, how they can use it. And it's just another resource for them and easy to find documents that they might need, or maybe something that I created. And that's a really cool tool for business builders on your team, because they can go in there and find stuff themselves. Like a year or two ago, the three of us ran a retreat. And we put all of our documents that we created for that retreat for our team in that Fit Republic Resources folder, so they can, older coaches that have come after we ran that retreat can find all the content that's in that folder, and it's really organized. I also use Google Streak. So I know that at the Julianne shared about the canned messages at the Diamond Retreat, which is awesome. I've actually been sharing that with some of my coaches, because Streak might be a little too complicated for some people, but for me it works. I use the list. In the pipelines, you can create a list. So those are my ongoing lists I have created in Streak. I use the snippets, which is basically like canned messages. So they're, auto messages that I generate. I open up my inbox, I click on that message, and it pops up when I'm composing an email, so I don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time. And I also like that you can track your emails. So you can see, if you have Streak, you can see in the email, there's a little eyeball in the top right-hand corner. If it's green, they've seen your email, which I think is really cool. I can see if they've actually opened it or not. So when I'm sending out emails with, information on challenges, if they haven't read it yet, I can maybe hit them up with text message or a messenger and just check in with them to see if they're going to be checking that email. Boomerang is another Google, what do you call those? Where you can add a Google extension, and it basically schedules your messages. So if you need to schedule a message to send to someone, it's a really handy tool that, like for example, my welcome email, because it's so long for my new coaches, I've decided to split it in half. So I send out welcome email number 1 right when they sign up, and then I get them to read it. We do a GSR, and then about a week later, I schedule out the second email to go out, and it just breaks it down. So it's not so much information shoved down their throat at once. And just to wrap this up, and then we can open up for a conversation here. So I finally did hire an assistant, and let me tell you guys, it took me years to hire an assistant. I didn't have one until this last year. So I've been doing all this stuff on my own, and my excuse was I can't afford an assistant, I don't have enough money, and I finally just said, you know what, I'm going to hire an assistant. I use her about 5 hours a week, and it's really on these little things that suck up my time, where I can be spending time on growing my business than a lot of this administrative stuff. So these are just some things that I use my assistant for. So making graphics in either Canva or PicMonkey. So the other day I caught myself starting to make a graphic. I was, I think it was for recognizing volume on my team. And I started doing it. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to spend a half hour making this graphic. I can have my assistant do it for me really quick. And that might mean that I do my post tomorrow, and that's okay. So that's, sometimes I wanted to get something done right away, and I'll just start doing something like making a graphic, where I could be maybe inviting to a challenge group and instead of spending time on making a graphic, she's pretty good about getting back to me within, I'll tell her, hey, can you send this to me at the end of the day or tomorrow? So it also forces me to plan ahead a little bit. So we use Asana. Asana is another great website where it's just projects and to-do lists. So we can create a company within Asana, and again, it's free. So I can create a list for her to do in there. I have like my Beachbody list, and we all these things, and I can assign due dates, and she gets email notifications rather than getting lost in the email conversations going back and forth. Asana has been great because within the app or the online version, you can, say like we're talking about creating next month's challenge group. That can be a project, and then I can have tasks in that project, and I can assign them to her. Please create the Facebook event, create the banner, follow up with these coaches, and then you can comment within the different projects that you have, which is so easy to organize it because then again, you're not like, oh, where's that email that we talked about? The email's going back and forth. Asana has been a game changer as far as communicating with her, and then also for me, for my to-do list, I've been using Asana as well. She also emails my customer leads. She creates, and so she has access to my back office, and she's been emailing them I have her email them every week, but sometimes it's every other week. Creates events for team calls. So just, drops an event on our team page. I'll go in, I'll have her just create it and then invite me to it and give me admin rights to it. And then I'll go into the event in our Facebook page or in our group, and I'll edit it and maybe, kind of fluff it up and add the details in it, but she'll at least create it for me and get the basics in there. And then I can go in and fine tune it. I also have her send gifts as needed for either challengers or for new coaches. And then she also posts the speed coaching time for my coaches in our page. So again, using Acuity, she just copy and pastes that link, and I have her do a post where it's like, hey guys, it's time for speed coaching. Make sure you click on the link to sign up to get your one-on-one time with Kelly. So she posts that in the group. So we have a little system. It took a little bit of time to kind of figure out a system with her, but it's been working really well now. And those 5 hours a week have made a huge difference in getting that back and being able to work on growing my business. So that is a wrap on everything that I had to share with you guys. I know it was a lot of content, but do you guys have any questions, comments, things that you want to share with what you do with your business that works for you?
So I have one question. Oh, and I think Tierney might be asking the same thing or similar thing. You mentioned some of these tools are free, and I know some of them have free versions and paid versions. Can you maybe just run through if any of those tools have a membership fee or a monthly fee and what that is so folks know? And I think Tierney was asking about how much you pay your assistant.
Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah. I don't think, let me just look at my list really quick that I had on here. So Toogle, that's free. Evernote's free. I don't pay for anything with Google. Asana's free. The only thing that I do have a paid version of PicMonkey. But everything else on there is pretty much free that I use. I use the free version. So in Streak, there are some limitations, of course, with all the free versions. So there's certain things in Streak that I can't do. I think there's it can notify you to just do certain things. And there's a certain amount of, in my list, I can share up to a certain amount of people. So I just keep it cleaned up, but it's pretty much everything on there that I use is free.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then I pay my assistant. So I pay her hourly. So I pay her $15 an hour is what I pay her. And I do have the time maxed, so I was thinking, do I pay her for a month of her time, because I know some other coaches do that where it's just this is how much you get paid per month. But because she also works full time, it's easier for her to just know how many hours she gets. So she gets 5 hours a week, and then, give or take, if she uses 3 one week, she can use 2 another. She doesn't always use them. So then she can kind of predict her time. It's been easier for her that way to kind of figure out how much time that she can spend. It's typically 1 hour a day that she'll spend on helping me with my business. Or maybe it's an hour and a half one day if I don't need anything the other day, but $15 an hour. You're welcome. You guys have any other questions? Any productivity tools that you want to share that have been working for you? Yvette, I see you have a big whiteboard behind you. You rocking that whiteboard?
I always try to unmute myself from the photo instead of down below. Yeah, this whiteboard is pretty crazy. I really need it because, I've got a lot of things. I've got my gym, and I've got my online coaching business, And then, I have another project at another gym now, helping them build a program from scratch. So, man, I got my hands in so many things, and I just don't want anybody to fall through the cracks. So, what I did is I had an assistant who was working with me, but she travels a lot. So it was kind of hit or miss. And then I brought on another assistant, and unfortunately with both of them, this is really unfortunate, but one of them, her mom passed. And then the same week, the other mom went into hospice. And so, here I'm in my business with like all these projects. So I brought on another assistant. So they'll both be back working with me, but it's just so many things to keep up with. So I have a new assistant that started with me this week. She's actually here in my office, doing some other stuff. So it's kind of cool that she can hear some of the, projects that I'll be passing on to her. But I just know that I need a lot of help, to, keep everything flowing, So this was really good. It was nice because I am a part-time coach. I like to be able to do more of it. But I think, the more I surround myself with a really good team that can help me on these things, the more I'll be able to grow my business. And like when you first started and you were talking about starting off, like you didn't even know, like when you got the email, what Success Club was or what, that's been part of the initial part of my business, like not being able to keep up with enough things to understand it all. So, the more I get into it, the more like it's all starting to click and to fall into place. And then obviously I'll be able to, help other coaches along too. So I kind of started off the same way. Still got a lot to learn, but thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad that a lot of the tools helped you because like I said, it's just trial and error, like what you give your assistants to do and what you don't. It's just, and her and I meet every other week on Zoom. So we have like an admin meeting every other week. I found that every week was just too much, but if we need to, we can, but we have like every other Tuesday we meet, like we just met yesterday for an hour. She also does help me with my Beachbody, or with my boot camp business. So it's nice. I'm very fortunate that I have the same assistant that can help me with both things. But eventually that might split, as I might be able to give her more work. It might be better to split the job. But for now, that's what works. And you can always change it and, see how things go in the future.
Like I want to make like 3 sections in my office. Like this section is the other gym. This section is my gym. And this part of the table is my Beachbody business. So, I know exactly what projects I'm working on where, so I'm not so bouncing around like a ping pong ball,
Yeah, I hear you, girl.
Well, thanks.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
I think too, what's worked for me with the assistant thing is I have just like a few different people. I don't necessarily have one person doing everything. I have the general manager at my studio. She started out as my assistant, and so when we got the studio open and everything, she just strictly deals with that now. And every once in a while I have her do a little something for me with Beachbody, but I have an instructor there who's also a coach, and she helps me with, mailing things and different things. She just wants more hours. And so I'm like, hey, I've got this for you. I have a coach that lives in Atlanta, and she's doing some stuff for me online. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think sometimes like we can put too much pressure on creating this, position in our business. But I think when it comes down to it, talk to people in your life, like talk to people that maybe have a full-time job, but just kind of want to do some other things, and give them like one thing that you just need consistently, or, it's so much easier that way than to like really feel this pressure to create, a position. I think that's where I was getting kind of hung up, like needing some kind of person like that. So anyway, that's helped me.
Yeah. And Nikki, like, that's what I literally probably didn't hire an assistant for like a year because of that. I'm like, I have to create this job description. I don't know what to give her. And like, I just did a post one day, and she's on my team. She's in Genevieve's downline. And I posted something really casual. It was just like, I was doing some work, and I did a picture of me doing work, and I said, yeah, I've really got to find someone to help me with my business. And, I gotta look for an assistant. It was just a real casual, like, call to action. Hey, if you guys know anyone, let me know. And she saw that, and she sent me a message, and she said, I would love to, talk to you about being your assistant. So it was just really lucky. I just threw it out there on social media, and, I didn't know if I was just going to give her just, a few things or how it was going to work out. But the other thing that I talked to her about was she wants to grow her business. And so she felt like working with me was going to help her also learn how to grow a business. So if you're trying to figure out who to hire, also look into your downline. Doesn't have to be a PS coach, but someone in your downline or on your team. Because I know a lot of other diamonds have people that same situation that they just want to learn from, running a diamond business and they're going to learn along the way with helping you things that they can implement in their own business. Cool. Anything else, guys? Does anyone else use Google? Have you guys ever heard of that before? You use it, Stacey? No? Use it? Amanda?
Yeah, I use it. I love it. And I use it for not just my Beachbody stuff, but like all the different projects I'm involved in, because it helps me be really accountable. As you said, you can see where you're like, losing time. And just so everybody knows, I think you mentioned this, like I have it downloaded on my phone. There's an app, so you can have it on your phone, on your iPad, on your desktop. Like it can be everywhere, which was helpful for me because I'm always running around and in different locations. So it's free and it's super, super easy to use.
And yeah, and if you forget to start it, you can just start, or you can go and you can manually add in the time, or you can start it late. And then once you stop it, you can go in and adjust it. Yeah. So it's nice because it's really easy to customize. Because that was the biggest thing. I'm like, forgot to start the timer. I'm like, it doesn't really matter. I can do it later.
We're talking about Toogl, the very first. It's TOGGL.com.
Mm-hmm. Another free site.
Hey, Kelly, I have a question.
Yeah.
You shared some awesome tools, and I'm so excited to take a look at some of these. My question is, for those of us that aren't using a lot of them, what would you suggest gave you the biggest bang for your buck? Like, we can't necessarily tackle all of them all at once, right? So where would you suggest is a good starting point that would really help change the productivity of our business?
I say, for me personally, digging into all of the stuff with Google. If you have a Gmail, do you have a Gmail, Kristen? So for me, there's so many things that you can add to your Gmail, like they're called, why do I keep forgetting it? Extensions, Gmail extensions. So, Streak is an extension. If you don't like Streak candid messages that Julianne uses, that's available in your Gmail. And these are all free on your free, like you don't have to pay for all of it. You have Google Drive is available for you, which in your Drive, you have all of the forms. If you don't want to use Wufoo, you can use Google. Like there's so many different things in Google productivity tools that I still don't even know about. Sometimes I have to go through and I just slow down and be like, okay, what can I actually do with all these tools? Because there's so many different things in there. And then within the Google, there's the ability to track your messages. There's the ability to, when you do the forms, they can send you autoresponders, and they're constantly improving their Google forms. And then, like I said, just it's been huge having that drive that we share with our team and just dropping in a bunch of stuff in there because, all that's like, how do I find this doc? How do I find that doc? It's just been easy to create like a folder. And it's kind of one of those build as you go type things that we've been adding to it constantly. But that would be for me because I just started using Evernote. I'm ultra organized, and sometimes just it can be bad for me because I'm like so anal about the things that I use, and I'm like, okay, who cares? Like if I figure out what I want to use Evernote for, because I'd be like, oh my gosh, why am I going to use Evernote? Like I can take notes in Google Drive, like which one should I use? And then I just kind of started playing with it and figured out what Evernote works better for me. And that's just a quick, you pop it up. Google Drive can be kind of complex with finding the folder and finding this, and Evernote was easier for me to just do quick like lists and quick links to. But I would say diving into all of the things that you can use with Google and within your Gmail is where I would start.
I just want to add, I think that was a really good suggestion. And the other thing, Kristen, with Google is it all interfaces really well together because it's all from the same platform. So I think you will get your biggest bang for your buck because it's free and everything works really well. So once you get in there and play with one tool, you'll see how they can all integrate. I use those Google Forms for like everything. It's really easy once you figure it out, and you can export your information in a lot of different ways, depending on what works best for you. So that's like a huge, huge like free suite of tools that we can use.
And they've improved those forms too. They used to have where it would just go to like a spreadsheet, but now you can look at it in like kind of like if you guys ever use SurveyMonkey, where it has like, graphs and stuff where you can see like how many people replied to this question. So there's different ways that you can view the responses too, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I like how that they can all speak to each other and integrate, and I do use some of their services. I wanted to ask you about Boomerang. So you can schedule emails that go out. So is it basically an autoresponder? So I have like an email marketing service nobody's ever heard of, but I love it and it's free. It's called Benchmark. And so I have a bunch of autoresponders set up in there. So like I have a new coach autoresponder. So I have like 5 emails that go out to my new coaches when they sign up. I already did them all. So whenever they join, all I do is add their email address to my list of new PS coaches. And then they get the first email on day 1. They get my second email on day 2. And so I sort of just walk them through all of the things, the administrative type things that help them get up and going. I have a separate one set up for like new customers, and they get 1 email from me every week for the first 4 weeks. And I give them different information, whatever. So
that's awesome.
Is that the same sort of thing that you use Boomerang for?
No. And that's actually exactly what you just said is something that I want to do within the new year. I have MailChimp, I have ActiveCampaign, I have all these email autoresponders that I need to build. Cause right now I'm just using Streak, and so with Google Streak and with Boomerang, you have to go in and schedule the message. It's not an autoresponder where you put in their email and just auto populates and sends them out at certain times. That's awesome. That's definitely something that I want to do. But for right now, I was like, okay, I'm just going to organize my Streak. And then, it would be a good problem to have if I had this huge influx of coaches and customers coming in where I couldn't keep up with what I'm doing right now. But that's definitely what you have going on is definitely something that I want to do. So I just have put them in, and they automatically get those emails. It's a lot easier. But if you ever wanted to, if you just needed to manually send out an email or whatever, and you're like, I'm going to send this, and then I'm going to just, you don't have the autoresponder set up, Boomerang is great for that, because then you can just schedule the emails if you want to get them sent out, depending upon what it is, if you don't want to send it right away. But that's all manual.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, Amanda, the one I use, I don't know that nobody's ever heard of it. People use Acuity. I mean, not Acuity. What is it? Aweber and like Eye Contact, Constant Contact, all those ones. They might be better for all I know, but I know that they charge money. I've heard some restrictions that people have. I use Benchmark. It's Benchmark Email Marketing. It does, I use the free one. It does have a limit, obviously, for the number of people. So some of you guys that have like huge lists, you might be bordering on that point where you would have to pay for the service. My list isn't that big yet, so it works fine for me. But you could use it maybe for your autoresponders and not have a huge, just not use it for your newsletters where you're not sending it to a massive distribution.
Do you know what the when you hit, what's the number of people that you can have where it stays free? What's the
I don't know off the top of my head. I'll try to look it up and see if I can find it for you.
Use, that's great. The free one. Another great free one too is MailChimp, and it's easy to use. And I think for MailChimp, it's 1,000 people, and then you have to pay for it after that. But there's so many different ones that you can use, and they like what Kristen said, find one that works for you and that's easy to use. I know that I've never used Aweber, but I've heard it can be pretty complicated. ActiveCampaign is another one that I've been using that's pretty easy to use. So I have Active and I have MailChimp right now, and eventually I want to just combine them and just use one of them. But those are the 2 that I use. So, but I want to get something set up what Kristen has, because I think that's a huge time saver, is if you can get those emails all boom, boom, boom set out, and you have to worry about, remembering to send out those emails. It's already in that autoresponder for you. That's awesome.
Thank you so much, Kelly. This is awesome.
You're welcome. Anything else, ladies, before we wrap up? Cool. Well, if you end up looking into some of the tools that I suggested or that I use, and if you guys have any questions, you guys can, of course, Facebook message me or comment in the Diamond page if you need any other tips or think of a question that you didn't think of while we're on the call. But it was really fun to put this together for you guys. It was one of those things I was like, okay, I had to make a list, try to figure out what I wanted to share and the top things, because obviously there's so many different things, so many tools that you can use, and everyone uses something different. So I think the most important thing is to pick what works for you. And even if maybe you picked up one tip from today, that's awesome. You can take that one tip and run with it, because if you're like, oh yeah, I already use, like, you know, Kristen uses Benchmark, that works for me. It doesn't mean that you have to go and use MailChimp. You know, do what works for you, and just run with it. And don't ever be scared to change things. If something isn't working, don't ever be scared to change it, because you know, you can always customize your business at any time depending upon where you are, and as your business grows and things like that, things might change for you. So thank you guys so much. I'm glad that you learned a bunch of cool little tips, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the Diamond page. I'll definitely get the recording up.
Awesome.
Hey,
Thanks,
Kelly.
Kelly.
All right, guys, have a good day.
Hey,
Bye-bye.
everybody.